Hi, everyone. Welcome back to episode 41 of the Simply One podcast. I'm your host, Colin. I'm joined by my co-host, Chris.
How we doing, everybody?
We're just a couple of best friends who are passionate about all things pop culture. If you're looking for lukewarm takes on movies, video games, TV shows, or even the occasional comic, then we've got the show for you.
41 episodes. We're hitting up on our 50 mark here soon.
And then at 52, it's a year.
Jesus. A year? Dude, it does not feel like a year at all.
So you figure that's... I'm going to do hard maths here. That's 11 episodes from now. That's me charging up
your brain
my
juice.
computer. Yeah, it's like an old. You probably don't even remember like the old CRT monitors that when you turn it on, it went bing, like bing. You heard it like a fuzz crickle as it powered up.
I had a TV like that little gray box, and you turn it on, and the
just
the
light
static
fuses to come on.
Static, yeah.
I threw this is like some Midwest like 13-year-old boy shit. Buddy and I, who you know, we just threw a brick repeatedly at just an old tube TV that we found, just technically near someone's backyard, but like kind of far away from any houses, and we just repeatedly. You can hear the bang, bang, and finally we busted it. And I mean, it just boom, and we were like, we just scattered. Wait, we got to flee the scene.
I remember
the fuck out of there.
Speaking of being a little juvenile delinquents, walking to school, we used to. My buddy and I, we used to have this. You know,
we used to catch possums.
We used to catch possums, let them roam to school. No, almost equally as bad. There's this kid who used to kind of, you know, he's a couple
grades. Is this
grades.
a bullying story?
No, because he was cool with it. He was cool with it. Like he went
Are you
along.
sure?
Yeah. I asked him about it, but
you got consent.
We would walk to school.
That's very woke of you.
And of course, and you know, the football players would have those big old tires that they'd, you know, lift up and flip over. And we put them in it and rolled them down the hill.
Yeah.
Then we had a big old like emergency assembly, and they were like, "We cannot tamper with the football equipment, aka don't put kids in there."
Yeah.
And we were looking around like, "What could it be?"
Who would do that?
What does such a
monsters? Is it me? Am I the problem? Or no, am I the drama?
Diabolical.
This week, we're going to be talking all about the 2022 Game Awards, from the winners to the world premieres to the odd outbursts. Before we get into all that, we have to talk about our main news story is James Gunn and Peter Safran's potential plans for DC. We got the first production photos from Joker 2. Yeah. The Dr. Sleep director is taking on another Stephen King property. And BioShock 4 news. So, if you're ready, let's
dive.
Let's just jump into that shit, bitches.
Dive.
So, I'm going to take a breath because I'm going to show you my screen here. That's the first news story until the bullet point.
Holy shit. No. Godspeed.
So, this is most of this is coming from the Hollywood Reporter, with a little bit of like going to people's Twitters and things like that and trying to get like source news. But so last week, the Hollywood Reporter put out a story claiming that James Gunn and Peter Safran had many plans set for the current slate of DC characters and actors. Now, plans is kind of a loose term because a lot of these are plans that they're floating but aren't set on.
Sure.
Right.
Nothing's
definite. They're basically, they've had like a summit in Colorado of like a bunch of writers and stuff coming and going where they're basically going, okay, let's see what we can come up with. Right. Basically a brain trust or a brainstorm of sorts.
Throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah. There's no bad ideas in spitballing. Right. So these plans include the killing of Wonder Woman 3.
Whoa.
So apparently, Patty Jenkins, who wrote and directed the first two, second one was a big old stinky. It was. There was no way around it.
Big old loaded diaper.
It was one of the first ones. I may have talked about this before. But like my wife and I came home from like visit. It came out in December on HBO Max. My wife and I were coming home from somewhere north of here. And I don't remember what we were doing, but we stopped and like picked up Texas Roadhouse on the way home. And, you know, it was when like the restaurants were trying to figure out how to do that. So it was like takeout at places that do not do takeout.
Yeah, that
like
was
they had
time.
a drive-through.
Yeah,
like a drive up. But
a little box up there.
yeah, so we brought it home, and we're like, all right, well, let's put on, let's eat and put on Wonder Woman 84. And I fell asleep on the couch. I had a full belly, had a long day. It was kind of cold, December. And Wonder Woman was not interesting at the, I really enjoyed the first one. We went and saw it in theater, and I had a good time with it. I fell asleep, woke up, and the movie was still happening. And I asked Morgan, I was like, how long was I out? And she was like, pretty good amount of time. Like, it feels like you've been out for a while. And I'm like, fuck. And then there was still quite a bit of movie left, and it felt like a task.
Whoa.
It was total opposite of my experience with the first one. And that, you figure Patty Jenkins was supposed to be making a Star Wars Rogue Squadron movie. That's kind of been wiped from the slate, and I do think a big portion of that is like the reception of Wonder Woman 84, where they're like, yeah, we're just not going great.
Pass.
Well, apparently she presented her like treatment right for Wonder Woman 3, and they were like, yeah, this doesn't fit in with our our
plan,
our vision, moving forward. And allegedly, she, like, one of the criticisms must have been something to do with character development, because allegedly her basically like middle finger, I'm on the way out the door kind of thing was literally presenting the executives with the dictionary definition of character development as like there is character development because this is what character development is. You guys need to fucking learn something. And then like left. Now, that's pretty rumory.
Yeah.
But it's specific enough that I'm like, I wonder if that's, maybe there is a grain of truth in that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like far from the tree.
Yeah. So Wonder Woman 3 is at this point in this iteration dead. The closing of the Snyderverse, so all of that stuff from like the Justice League and all those characters, they're trying to close that off.
Not canon.
And that includes the heroes. Right? So they're shutting down, potentially. This is, like I said, this is all in flux. Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill, which, like you and I talked about, potentially that's one of the reasons why he quit The Witcher.
Yeah.
Was because he's going to be making Superman movies. And
he liked Superman more because they followed more to the comics.
Well, it wasn't even that, but he thought there was potential for that, So, no more Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
Whoa.
All of these characters are set to cameo in the Flash film due out in June. So back in September, Henry Cavill's portion of that cameo was filmed, but the studio seems to be at a toss-up as to whether or not they're going to even include it in the film, because they don't want it to promise some future possibility that they have no intention of delivering on.
I wasn't expecting them to boot Jason Momoa.
Yeah, right. So, well, it's because that the implication of that is that the Snyderverse stuff happened, right?
Man, that's
so they're trying to move forward. So, the Hollywood Reporter sources that are inside Warner Brothers wanted to really stress that no plans are actually finalized, and that the Flash itself is still an unlocked picture, meaning it's still subject to change.
Sure.
Right? It's not set in stone yet. Obviously, we just saw the return of Cavill in the post-credits scene for Black Adam in October, with Henry Cavill going as far as posting a video to Instagram, making an official statement of his return as the Man of Steel. Right, like, I want to officially state I am back as Superman. Yeah. This, of course, all happened before James Gunn and Peter Safran began forging a path forward for the DCU. So, now we've gone to Black Adam. Black Adam is unlikely to receive a sequel after a pretty underwhelming box office performance, and with multiple sources claiming that Johnson's overall involvement in the development and marketing, where he's been pretty, like, trying to make himself as a marketing point, and even going to, like, taking to Twitter to, like, defend the movie itself and its performance, and like kind of snapping at IGN a little bit and things like that, and basically adding and subtweeting a bunch of publications, and it's been like kind of petty sometimes.
Hey, that's what Twitter is, baby.
Right. Well, apparently it hasn't been very endearing to the new leadership, where they're like, yeah, we don't know that we'd like this guy's approach.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's probably dead in the water. Jason Momoa seems to have the most future potential in the strangest way. So his Aquaman sequel is due out this time next year, which would be the last movie releasing that's been produced under the last group of leadership.
Yeah.
And however, so a lot of people close to DC Studios have been basically mentioning, whispering, rumoring, right, that Momoa, his name has been alongside that of the intergalactic potty mouth bounty hunter Lobo. So Lobo is like this big, buff, like cigar chewing. He's kind of a almost wacky, insane character who he looks like a biker who travels the galaxies.
That's what I want to see.
Bounty hunting, right?
That's what I want to see.
And if you see pictures of like that iteration, because there's also apparently like a really thin Lobo, but traditionally people picture like this big buff, like I said, cigar chomping guy. Jason Momoa, if you pale him up, he looks like Lobo. And so none of this is certain, of course, but it does seem to indicate that the future that Gunn and Safran see as the clearest path out of this, messy state of affairs that is currently like kind of crippling DC is kind of a little bit more, I don't want to say fun, but, let's allow ourselves to be a little weird.
Yeah.
Lobo's an odd character, right? But if you look at the stuff that James Gunn has made for DC,
he can pull
the
that
Suicide
off.
Squad,
Right.
Peacekeeper, or
They're
Peacemaker.
odd characters.
They're silly characters.
Peacekeeper, you got Apex on the
Yeah,
mind.
I'm fiending. And so that's their. I'm thinking they might go, okay, let's look at another whole other section of DC, and then maybe loop our way back around.
And like that makes me think like I am kind of bummed because I do still want to see Henry Cavill as Superman.
Right.
But I do understand where they're coming from. Whoa, Siri, you gotta settle down. But I do understand, the standpoint of like, it's not going to work. Yeah, we're cleaning house, and unfortunately, that means Henry Cavill is a part of that.
Yeah,
and that
that sucks. Now,
but if he auditions for it again, and they're like,
or even they might not. I mean, you don't have to audition him. He's done, right? He's got a movie under his belt. So maybe they take and we're going to take a little break from what I've written to just interject. Maybe if they take a path of. Basically, like we kind of talked about, turn Flash into Flashpoint and use it as a clean slate. Yeah. Reset the universe in universe. Yeah. And maybe Henry Cavill can survive
still
that.
Be Superman.
And still be Superman. So, let's see here. The last wrinkle of this whole thing involves two yet to be released projects: Shazam: Fury of the Gods and Blue Beetle. So both are due out next year. And both very much are in flux with the rest of the current DC slate. So not a lot known about their thoughts on those projects, just that they are still releasing them, but, along with the rest of the DC universe, but subject to disappear. They're made. We don't want to not release them because, that's money to be made potentially. Right. Make some return on it and then move forward, right? So both of those, like I said, are due out next year. All of that leads us to James Gunn actually responding to the THR article on Twitter stating, and this is there's a little bit of a lengthy quote here. So he says, so as for the story yesterday in the Hollywood Reporter, some of it is true. Some of it is half true. Some of it is not true. And some of it we haven't decided yet whether it's true or not. And then he goes on to say, although this first month at DC has been fruitful, building the next 10 years of story takes time, and we're still just beginning. And he continues to say, Peter and I chose to helm DC Studios, knowing we were coming into a fractious environment, both in the stories being told and in the audience itself, and there would be an unavoidable transitional period as we moved into telling a cohesive story across film, TV, animation, and gaming. But in the end, the drawbacks of that transitional period were dwarfed by the creative possibilities and the opportunity to build upon what has worked in DC so far and to help rectify what has not. We know we are not going to make every single person happy every step of the way. But we can promise everything we do is done in the service of the story and in the service of the DC characters we know you cherish and we have cherished our whole lives. So, I mean, yeah, he's even saying it. It's going to be a messy situation either way.
Yeah. We're just doing what
and unfortunately, it's one of those
logically makes sense.
Yeah, you have to point at it and go, it's not been working, so you got to change. Yeah. Right? The whole, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, it's broke.
It's broke, and
so you gotta,
we gotta fix it.
The definition of insanity, do the same thing over and over and hope it, different results. Well, it's not working, so we gotta change it up.
Get a new window.
Yeah,
quit trying to glue it together.
Yeah,
just gotta get a new window.
Yeah, it's not gonna. We're not going to make the people that like what's been coming out happy.
You know what I want to see? That's something that's kind of an oddball, and it's a little out there. It's one of the few Batman comic books I've read where it's like an apocalypse, and it's Batman. He's still trying to do that with Gotham.
Is it like a desert apocalypse, or is it more like
it's like
Frozen?
No, it's like overgrown. Like Gotham is just way overgrown.
I can't think of what it's called, but yeah, who's one of the main villains in it?
Oh, I think it might be Scarecrow.
Okay, yeah. I can't think of what that's called. I haven't read it, but it comes up a lot in like lists of comics that you should read.
Yeah, I remember I read that one. It's really good, and he's a little more dark and ruthless in that one.
Right, yeah, we're like the rules are bent.
Because there's no city. It's gone, Yeah. He's doing this just strictly trying to... I could go on.
Shits and gigs, right?
Yeah, but that's something I think would be cool to see.
Speaking of, that is something that I didn't write in here, but I do remember seeing when I was reading through, is that as of right now, there are no plans to touch the Robert Pattinson, the Batman. Oh. So it's...
Damn.
No. Like, they're not harming that at all.
Oh, I think you meant like they're not progressing with it. I was like,
no. They're going to let the sequel continue to be written and stuff. They're not fussing with that.
Good.
Which makes sense. It was probably one of the more successful DC movies.
Yeah.
And obviously, at least the sequel to Joker is safe because it's already starting production, which leads us into... do you have any more thoughts on DC? That was a lot of info dump.
Yeah, like I was just saying, like, it really does kind of suck, but, like, I understand, like, and, the fact that he's coming out and being like, like, it's gonna suck, but, like, it's gonna get worse before it gets better. Right. So, he has a vision, he's got plans, he's adapting, adapting change, so I'm behind him.
Yeah. And apparently they have, like, a presentation with Peter Zaslav, who's the head of Warner Brothers. Sometime this month, I think it was like either this week coming up or the following week, the week before Christmas, where they're going to present whatever their 10-year plan is. And so maybe after that we'll get a better... I don't know how much they'll announce ahead of time, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But, the potential for us to get a clearer look at what the future looks like. I figure beginning of the year, if there are going to be projects canceled, that's when we'll hear about them.
That's when we'll figure it out.
All right, well, we got this thing nailed down. Everybody go home, enjoy your holiday, take 2 weeks off, right? And then come back and we'll get back to work, right? Yeah. So, Todd Phillips, who's the director of Joker and its sequel, Joker, Fuller, Joker, Folie du. That title's really got to grow on you. He shared a first look image of Joaquin Phoenix on Instagram with the caption, "Day one, our boy, #Joker." Right? And the photo just shows Joaquin Phoenix as a Joker, seemingly as a patient or prisoner inside Arkham Asylum, receiving a shave from an orderly. So he's got no shirt on. He's got sores and stuff where he's been picking on him by his body and whatever. And he's kind of kicked back over his sink, getting a straight shave from a person in an Arkham Asylum, orderly uniform.
Do you think they're gonna slice the smile into him? Do you think that's an option?
No. I don't think they'll go the cut smile. Yeah,
I'm just spitting.
Not much is known about the project, obviously, other than that Gaga is going to play Harley Quinn, and the film seemingly is going to be a musical. And other than that, all we know is that the film is set for release on October 4th of 2024. So not this coming year, but the following. I know you're psyched about Joker.
Yes, I am very excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been back and forth on it.
Sure.
Didn't do it for me. Yeah, I wasn't like, oh, look, it wasn't bad, but I am.
Same thing with Avatar.
Yeah.
I'm more psyched about it than you
are. So Stephen King's Dark Tower series of novels is receiving another attempt at an adaptation. I don't know if you remember a few years back, there was an Idris Elba, Matthew McConaughey movie with about the Dark Tower that was not good and was not well received. No. It's like an 8-book series, and they tried to condense it down into like an action movie, and it just didn't.
Those always do well. What do you mean?
Yeah, what do you mean? Yeah, how is that a recipe for failure?
Yeah,
that's printing money. I don't know what you're talking about. No, so this time it's as a series at Amazon from Mike Flanagan. So Flanagan, of course, is the mind behind the Haunting series.
Pot with Mike Flanagan.
The Haunting anthologies on Netflix. Dr. Sleep, which was the Shining sequel.
I like Dr. Sleep.
I did too. Midnight Mass, which was my most favorite of his.
I still have to watch that. I hear such good things about it.
And then most recently, The Midnight Club, which I heard kind of mixed things about. So Flanagan and his producing partner Trevor Macy actually own the rights to the 8-book series. It's a supernatural western.
Wild West.
Wild West.
Do declare.
Because you've got the Man in Black and you got the Gunslinger. So let's see here. They own the rights, like I said, and Flanagan actually called his pilot treatment his holy grail of TV work. And in an interview with Deadline, Flanagan said, "We view it as a series that's going to last 5 seasons, and having lived with this project as long as I have an enormous amount of it worked out in my brain already. But I have a pilot script that I'm thrilled with and a very detailed outline for the first season and a broader outline for the subsequent seasons."
Good.
So he is a guy who's passionate in general about horror.
And when you're passionate about you can tell. You can really tell.
And so like I said, he did Dr. Sleep, and I remember a few, maybe 5-10 episodes back, we talked about what would have been the Shining sequel that Mike Flanagan wanted to work on, and it just didn't go anywhere. I think it was because Dr. Sleep just underperformed. And so then he did that. He worked on a movie on Netflix called Gerald's Game, which is
I heard about that.
Yeah, which is a Stephen King short story. And so, I mean, he's worked with Stephen King properties before. And, I mean, pretty much everything the man's done is horror, and a lot of it's been very good. He's got a one that I don't see brought up a lot called Hush that Morgan and I watched together.
Oh, yeah, I know Hush.
Where she's deaf and mute.
Yeah.
And some guy
broke into her house.
trying to break into her house and kill her.
It's very real.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't even think about a scenario like that.
Little fun fact, she's an author. Her character is in that.
Yeah.
The book she's writing is Midnight Mass.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Huh.
But no, that was a really good movie.
I really liked Hush. That one gave me chills.
Yeah.
It didn't make me jump, but it was
but it's I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast, but I know I've talked about it with you and with Morgan, that like the supernatural doesn't really stick
it's the
with me
realism
It's the real stuff. People scare me. I think about
scariest thing out there, man.
Yeah.
It's people.
Yeah. We're, most dangerous game. Let's see. Hunting Long Pig.
Liz. Do you remember that book, The Most Dangerous Game? Where they kidnap people and force them to exercise to get like super yoked, and then they just release them
into the wilds on this island.
Some old rich guy hunts them.
So, last bit of news here before we get into the Game Awards.
Yes.
I'm going to butcher this person's last name. So, the last name is ALBL.
Abel or
Albel?
Albel?
I don't know. So, Liz Albel? I'm not sure.
Audible?
They not a sponsor. They were the writer on Ghost of Tsushima. They've joined BioShock 4 development as the narrative lead. So her other credits include the 4th and 5th iterations of Far Cry, as well as Watch Dogs Legion. And so Liz took to Twitter and she exclaimed, "The dream is real. So happy to announce I've joined Cloud Chamber as narrative lead on BioShock. The BioShock sequel was announced back in 2019, but it remains pretty unclear if it will be a direct sequel. So developer Cloud Chamber called it the next iteration in the BioShock franchise, which kind of is vague enough that you still don't know.
Right.
Are they rebooting it? Is it a sidequel? What is it? Right. But Cloud Chamber posted a recruitment for developers of a, quote, new and fantastical world, which seems to suggest that the setting would not be a return to Rapture or Columbia, but something new entirely. So Kelly Gilmore, who is the head of Cloud Chamber, said, "We hope that fans love our future plans for this environment. That said, it'll be a bit of a wait for more details as the game will be in development for several years." And obviously, that was back in 2019-ish that was all stated. If they're just now hiring someone as a narrative lead, they're still in the writing phase, so they're still a few years away.
Yeah, they're real early.
I would think we are not seeing it until like 2026, maybe, which is a bummer. I've talked about it before. BioShock doesn't miss for me. All 3 are beautiful games.
I've played bits of one. I think it was the one. Is it Infinite? The one you
BioShock
have?
Infinite, Columbia.
Yeah. I played bits of that one. And it was really good. And I wanna get down and play all. Again, added this fucking
throw it on the list. Yeah, the growing list of shit.
Get me all fired up. It's been a long fucking day.
Yeah, we're recording kind of late after a long day of work.
Threw my can. That was kind of empty.
Yeah, it's like not empty enough to throw.
No.
You can hear
we got all these
electronics
cords.
and cords and
we
shit.
We both
just
quickly went to go pick it up.
And an electronic lighter just fucking explodes. There's a house fire. But we don't stop recording. We're carrying the recorder and our mics and we're running, trying to get the dogs and the wife out of the house, you know? I like that I said that as if she's our wife.
The dogs and the wife.
And the wife. The whole ball and chain, you know? Just be one of those husbands. Like a 90s sitcom. I hate my wife.
The old ball
and chain. Al Bundy.
Holds me back.
All right. That's all I got. Thoughts on BioShock?
No, like I said, I've only played a little bits of the Infinite, but I know you and I will joke around, and you showed me like what is it with Big Daddies?
Yeah,
and
when the little sisters, when you've saved all the little sisters in an area, and the Big Daddy can't find one, and so he's just
yeah. So I definitely want to play that and experience that, but I'm excited. I mean, for whatever they have, especially
look, Mr. Bubbles. An angel. Ooh. It's a creepy, pale little girl with a fucking needle and a bottle on
that's
the
like
end
the
of it.
size of her. It's a huge needle.
Yeah, she's sucking Adam out of dead bodies and just drinking it.
I mean, if you're not doing that, what are you doing?
You ain't living. Oh, man. So, and obviously, like I said right off the top, Liz Albel was a writer on Ghost of Tsushima, which was one of my favorite games of the year it came out.
It was
it in The Last of Us Part 2. And it's
we need to get back into the multiplayer
of The Last of Us.
No.
Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, dude, the co-op on that was fucking fire. And now that you got your PS5.
Now that I got the PS5, we can. We'll have to. Can I transfer Ghost of Tsushima from my PS4, or does it work?
It's a process, but yeah. So let's talk about the Game Awards.
Yeah.
So I figured we'd start with the awards themselves and then move on to all the announcements, right? So here's the full list of winners. I'm gonna IGN's nice and handy. They just made lists. And I'm like, excellent. Yeah. Thanks a heap, IGN. Credit given. So, do we start at the top with Game of the Year, or do we work our way up to it?
No, work our way up.
All right, let me go to the bottom of this fucking list here. We'll skip through the non-exciting ones. No offense to people that worked really hard on video games this year.
You're a monster.
Yeah, I'm glad you put your sweat, blood, and tears into this. Didn't see your wife for a year. Pass on that fucking category.
Boring.
There's a reason they fucking showed you in the pre-show, people, because nobody gives a fuck.
Jesus.
My God. Yeah, I know you work really hard, but fuck off. Best adaptation. So the nominees were Arcane League of Legends, which is an anime. Cyberpunk Edge Runners, another anime. The Cuphead Show, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and Uncharted. Arcane won, which, I mean, yeah.
I thought a part of me kind of wanted Uncharted to win.
I didn't. I knew it wasn't going to because it was just okay. I mean, we were overwhelmed by it, but only barely, and only because we set our expectations so low.
Super low.
Yeah. I think we've kind of gotten away from our definition of that. We're like, our expectations, if it exceeds our expectations, it was overwhelming, right? So if we have really low expectations for something and it exceeds those, it's overwhelming.
I mean, yeah.
If it meets our expectations, it's simply whelming. So there's been a few movies. There's been a few movies where we're like, I thought it was going to be mid, and it was mid, so it's simply whelmed. Or I thought it was going to be mid, and it wasn't mid, so I was simply whelmed because it still wasn't the best. And you're like, well, no, it should have been overwhelming. This thing's flimsy. Who fucking knows?
Yeah,
right?
It's our fucking show.
We're all going to die one day.
Easy.
Just trigger your fear. Yeah. Most anticipated game, which I was kind of excited for this category. So most anticipated coming up. Final, as opposed to most anticipated games that are released. Fucking idiot. Final Fantasy 16. Me, not you. Hogwarts Legacy, Resident Evil 4, Starfield, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And Legend of Zelda won by a mile. I even told Morgan, because she watched it live with me, I was like, she was like, oh, I think Hogwarts? And I was like, nah, it's Legend of Zelda. No way, it's not.
Yeah, dude, Breath of the Wild did so good.
Yeah, people want that so bad. As
soon as people found out just the name of the new Legends of Zelda, they were creaming. Yeah. It was all over Twitter. Yeah. I remember that.
So we are going to kind of be disrespectful and blitz through the esports stuff, because I don't give a fuck.
We're not big in esports.
No. So esports team was Loud. It's a Valorant team. Best esports game was Valorant. Best esports event was the 2022 League of Legends World Championship. Best esports coach was Matthias, who's for Loud, which is the team from Valorant. Best esports athlete was Jacob Ye Whitaker from Valorant. Content creator of the year was Ludwig. Best multiplayer game was actually Splatoon 3.
Yeah.
Which beat out Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Multiversus, which I thought had a chance because people really like Multiversus. It's the fighting game.
No, I remember. I thought Multiversus won.
No.
I know they won one award.
They won something, yeah, but it was not best multiplayer game. Overwatch 2, which I did not think was going to win because people really were not happy with that launch. Splatoon 3, obviously, like I said. And then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Best sim or strategy game, Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope won.
Was not expecting that one.
Let's see here. Best sports or racing game, Gran Turismo 7 won. Let's see. Best family game, Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good game.
Best fighting game was Multiversus.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
Best RPG, Elden Ring, which, yeah, I agree. I was like, yeah, I could see that. There weren't a ton of RPGs this year. So, best action-adventure game, God of War Ragnarok.
Bingo.
Beat out Plague Tale Requiem, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Tunic. Best action game, Bayonetta 3 won against Modern Warfare 2, Neon White, Sifu, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let's see, innovation and accessibility. So that's just an award where they push the boundary forward on what makes a game accessible to as many people as possible. Sure. And God of War Ragnarok won. I thought it was going to be a toss-up between that and The Last of Us Part 1 because both of them took really big leaps to, like, where you can damn near play this game without playing it, make it as accessible to someone who would really struggle to do most things in a video game.
Like me.
No, I mean, people who are honestly unable.
I thought, like, easy mode.
No, like...
Yeah, no, it didn't click until just now. Descriptive
audio, people for the things for the colorblind. There's actually a really nice charity, settle in here, that I always support when I'm able to, called Able Gamer. Oh, and they make like custom stuff for individuals who have disabilities.
There's, on like Snapchat, there will be like a bunch of stuff and people will share their stories. But one of the ones was this guy and he plays video games, but he had a special controller and he like can't use his thumbs real well. Yeah. But he has both of those pads for those Joy-Cons that they can make. And he uses that. And dude, he shows like clips of him playing Call of Duty. He's fucking it up. He's mopping them.
And I love that because, I mean, I've seen, this is the first year that I remember that they didn't highlight like a charity. But actually the Game Awards is where I learned of the Able Gamer. And there was somebody telling their story who talked about how, like, their level of ability makes it so that they're pretty much stuck at home in bed. And video games are a great escape. Yeah. Right? But he struggled with most video games, right? And so the Able Gamer came in and they set him up with something where, like, I think he had quite a bit of level of control with, like, blowing into a straw. Okay. And, like, verbal commands and things like that. And I think maybe he had use of one or a few of his fingers, and so they kind of set him up with something where you can do most things with these, And he was like really emotional about being able to experience all these games. Yeah, absolutely. And so that's something that's always been really important to me. I can't think there's a website called I completely lost it, but you can buy video games by donation, where they'll release like a pack basically for like, this is November and you get these 5 games, right? Sure. They give you like a Steam code, but they just ask you to give what you can. Oh, yeah. And you can either choose how much of it goes to the developers, how much of it goes to the charity of your choice, things like that. And you get to pick your charity out of a list. And then I always slide it to 100% of my donation goes to the charity. Fuck the game developers, honestly. Like, especially if it's like Grand Theft Auto. Oh yeah, they're not hurting.
Way more money than they need.
But yeah, that whole big aside, just because I think that's something that needs more attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see, best VR or AR game. Did I say that God of War Ragnarok won that?
Yes.
For innovation and accessibility. Yes. So best VR or AR game was Moss Book 2, which I haven't heard of.
Never heard of it.
But it made me go, oh shit. It went up against After the Fall, Among Us VR, Bone Lab, and Red Matter 2.
I think Among Us VR, it had potential, but it came out and it was a little gritty, a little grainy, but it's got some work.
Best community support was actually a pretty decent category, I thought. Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14 Online, which was the winner.
Yeah.
Fortnite and No Man's Sky.
I thought Apex would have been up there.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those, it is constantly updated, but I know that like the Final Fantasy 14 community is like, they're passionate.
If you're 14 games deep, you're with it.
Yeah. Best mobile game was Marvel Snap. Best debut indie game, which was one that I was excited for, was Stray. Which, like we talked about, I'd be very surprised if it didn't win that category because it's nominated for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
It won 2 awards.
Yeah, 2 awards, isn't it?
Yeah, because the next one was Best Indie Game. But yeah, so both of those I thought were well deserved. Stray was an excellent game. Especially to find out that it is their first game.
I cried.
Oh, yeah.
I cried at that game.
Yeah, not hard, but like
No, yeah, just a couple tears fell out.
Best ongoing game, Final Fantasy 14 Online.
Yep.
Games for impact. So for a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message. Didn't play any of these, but I did remember seeing the winner, As Dusk Falls, and had like a weird, like, drawn.
Yeah. Well, most of them had a different
it.
Art style to them, which I noticed.
Let's see. Best performance. So Ashley Birch for Horizon Forbidden West, Charlotte McBurney for A Plague Tale Requiem, Christopher Judge for God of War Ragnarok, Manon Gage for Immortality, and Sonny Suljic for God of War Ragnarok. So Christopher Judge did win. He portrays Kratos, and he proceeded to give
a 9-minute speech.
Like 9 to 12 minute acceptance speech. That was too long.
Yeah.
I told you when I watched it live, I got bored in the middle of it. No disrespect to him, but like, let's move it along, guy. And I checked Twitter real quick, and there was literally a picture posted by IGN 5 minutes ago of him coming up to accept the award. And I was like, he's been talking too long. Like, he's been talking long enough that I got bored. And they went, 5 minutes ago, this man went up on stage. And they ended up playing him off, and as the music's getting louder and louder, he's just talking over it. And I'm like, dude. But it did kind of like add gravitas to the speech, where it sounds like he's just got like background music to the speech now, Best audio design. God of War Ragnarok beat Elden Ring, Modern Warfare 2, Gran Turismo 7, and Horizon Forbidden West. Best score or music, Bear McCreary won for God of War Ragnarok. Great music.
Yeah, like easy.
Best art direction was, I've seen a lot of heat on this one. Elden Ring won against God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Scorn, and Stray.
Stray was a really pretty game.
A really beautiful game. God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, really nice colors, vibrant.
Yeah.
Elden Ring had nice environments too, but it wasn't as
weird as it's going to sound. If you can picture it in color, when I say this word, it just felt very medieval.
Yeah, it was very
dull. Like not in like a bad way, but like in the way that medieval.
There were
is
some
dull.
Fantastical like visuals,
sure, like like golden,
overall,
boss battles, or like
or like this. There's a large tower in the distance, or this swamp and things like that.
But just the vibrancy and it
really stands out
in all the other games. But
now that might be a simple take of like, I like the colors. You know what I mean? It's like going, well, I guess you like a lot of Marvel movies, don't you? And you're like, no. I also really liked Everything Everywhere All at Once. And you're like, oh yeah, that really sleeper hit $100 million making movie. And you're like, oh no, I guess my takes aren't that hot. Maybe they're lukewarm. Am I basic? Am I a basic bitch? Best narrative, God of War Ragnarok won. Against A Plague Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West, and Immortality. And then best game direction was a bit of a hot one as well. Elden Ring won against God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Immortality, and Stray. And it says that it's awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design.
What? We've talked about this. There is no direction.
So if you go with that definition, I can see what they're saying. If you take it on innovation for game direction and design, insofar as like it kind of took the Breath of the Wild route for an open world of like, we're going to put you in the open world, and you could technically in some ways go to the final boss fight.
Sure.
And take it on, right? There is not a lot of hand-holding, right? Which I think was divisive for some people. Myself included sometimes.
Dude, my ass got whooped in there. I couldn't get past like that second mission.
Yeah. Well, there's no missions. That's the hard part.
Well, like the second,
like area that you entered. Yeah.
Like I just couldn't.
I do want to give it another try because I'm like, I'm in a minority, right? And so I'm like, maybe I'm missing something. Right?
That game, maybe I will, but it is not.
It's not on a priority. So, no, I agree. I'm the same way. So it did beat God of War Ragnarok. I think I said all that right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Game of the Year went to Elden Ring, which I knew was a very good possibility, and I'm not mad at it. There is a little bit like my team lost, you know. But just because I didn't like the game, it wasn't my Game of the Year. Sure. But I understand that I wasn't the
we are in the minority.
The Game Awards wasn't made for me, right? And I do think from a voting standpoint, it was down between those two games.
Yeah.
And neither one deserved to lose.
No.
You know what I mean? It's not like, oh man, that's rigged.
Elden Ring
you know
was
what I mean?
trash.
No,
it wasn't like that.
It wasn't for me, but a lot of people really enjoyed it and found whatever it was they were looking for in it. And so, you know, overall, I think I agreed with most of the wins. That I had enough weight on to go, oh yeah, that's what I think should win. I do think I ended up voting for, because it was all, that's the other thing, is it is voted upon. Now they did make a comment. I didn't see it in the list here. I didn't actually see the award in here, so it must have been one that they didn't feel the need to post. I'm just gonna double check I didn't miss it. It was like basically the fan favorite game.
Oh,
and it was being brigaded by bots on Twitter.
Oh, it was Genshi. No, it was Genshin.
Well, no, not the winner. Genshin Impact did end up winning.
Yeah,
but Sonic Frontiers was being
and
brigaded as the winner, and he even straight up said, Jeff Keighley said, once we took out all the bots, and I was like, ooh,
heat, tea.
Jeff Keighley is a fucking savage. He's just, I like to picture him being like the Kingpin in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Kill that guy.
Kill that guy. So now let's move on to the exciting stuff, the announcements. So Final Fantasy 16 got a new trailer. I'm
not big on the Final.
I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie. The trailer looked good.
Yeah,
but I was like, that would be fun. But I got to catch up on.
But that's my thing.
15 games to understand.
I don't know if you do or not. I don't know how this it's so convoluted,
and that confuses my brain to the point where I just don't. I'm gonna leave it alone.
The barrier to entry just feels too thick for me.
Something I hear a lot is
I feel the same way about Kingdom Hearts.
People feel I like Kingdom Hearts. People feel the same way about World of Warcraft.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Like definitely. I got a buddy at work who plays World of Warcraft, and we got to talk, and he was like, new expansion came out. And I was like, oh really? I heard World of Warcraft. Well, no, he said, don't get it. He goes, there's so much to it, it'll just suck your life away. And he goes, and that's all you'll do for.
You'll be a husk.
And I'm like, really? And he was like, yeah. And then ironically enough, I work in retail, and a customer came in, and he was a gamer, and so we all got to talk, and he was like, playing that new World of Warcraft, and my coworker looks over, and they got to start talking about it, and I was like, I haven't played it, but I think about wanting to,
don't.
And he even was like, don't.
Fucking don't.
And I was like,
do
oh,
not.
Shit, man. That's a sign,
It's like a drug. They're like, dude,
don't.
It makes me think of Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, when he's like, get out of here, Dewey.
You don't want any part of this.
I kind of really want to try it.
All right, just this one's
getting. This one's getting. Shut the door.
Close the door.
Shut the door. One that really jumped up as a surprise at me. Not a surprise in I've seen people who are like, oh fuck, finally, but this surprised me in what is this? This looks so good. Was Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon.
Yeah.
So that's a From Software game. Which what a turnaround, because they just put out Elden Ring, but apparently it's their Sekiro Shadows Die Twice developer. So they had two separate teams, one that was working on Elden Ring, one that was working on this, right? I don't know what Armored Core is, but the Armored Core subreddit was on the front page of Reddit, where their post was basically fucking finally, and I was kind of I gotta check out the Armored Core subreddit. You know what I mean? Because I always love finding we talked about, a passionate group of people.
Right.
I'm I've never heard of Armored Core, but they're on the 6th game, and apparently that's a big deal. You know what I mean? And the trailer got me, so I looked in there.
Just that line where they blow up all those.
Yeah, it's robots fighting each other, dude.
That's all it is. That's all we want.
Yeah, come on, man. I watched the Rise of the Beasts Transformers trailer again, and I was like, that last bit of the trailer looks kind of fire.
Yes. Yes.
It's robots fighting each other. They don't have Mark Wahlberg in there, so maybe I'll give it a poke.
You might have me.
Might have him, yeah. And the beauty of doing this podcast is if I kind of want to go see it, but don't want to admit that I want to go see it, I can just use the podcast. Well, we got to watch it for the podcast, Go in and see it and be like, oh. Or be like, no, it's pretty disappointing.
Just like I thought.
Yeah. My suspicions were confirmed. No, so I don't know anything about Armored Core, but it looks good. Mm-hmm. Check out that trailer, people.
There was Atomic Heart.
Yeah.
I thought that one looked good. Good. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around, but I got to take the reins on this. Nightingale.
Yes. Oh, dude, fuck. We're going to be in that.
Dude, Nightingale, that's us all fucking day long.
Yelling, fuck.
Dude, but the scene in Nightingale where you see them build the house and then it's all foggy and orange and they're all walking out with axes, and you just see the shadow of this big monster come up, and I was like, I was freaking out, bro. I'm on my lunch and my little dick's getting hard because I'm losing my goddamn mind about this Nightingale shit.
You're at work, like, having a look around, coworkers shush you, Shh, I'm sorry. Got an AirPod in quivering, you're just,
Dude, that shit looks so good. It's not even funny.
Hades 2 got a pretty big reaction. I didn't play Hades 1, but I've heard it's very... it was a Game of the Year nominee last year.
I heard Hades was a very good game.
Or no, 2020. Actually, it was Game of the Year in 2020.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah. Last year's was...
It Takes Two.
Yeah.
Which was a very good game. I still have to finish it. I'm playing it with a buddy currently.
Oh, you didn't finish it?
We're so close. We're so close. Did you see that they released merch?
Yes.
For the Princess Bean.
Yeah, I think is her name.
Yeah,
the elephant. Yeah,
and you can rip off her ear and leg off, and like she was saying like, no, stop. And I was like, I'm horrified.
Yeah.
And like I just got over that because like we played it, not too long ago.
Yeah.
And that's the part where we just got.
Oh, really? So then you still got a fair bit to go.
We cleared through a lot. That was at the beginning when we first started. But yeah, I was like, I don't want that. Like, I don't want to buy that. I felt like a monster.
I know. Morgan and I played that and beat it. And yeah, I was showing her that, and she was like, oh no. I know. Because her and I are monsters. We laughed. But we laughed at like the horror of it. And where it's that weird cutesy,
you're sick.
like even the art design of the game is kind of cute. You know what I mean? And
you're a monster.
You're murdering this elephant who's pleading for her life.
I literally wanted to put down the controller.
And it's a mom and dad being like, we got to kill this bunny or this elephant for our daughter.
Yeah, to make her cry.
To make our daughter cry.
You guys are evil.
Yeah.
Diabolical.
The one that has me fucking. The one that had me. Was
I got you barking.
Ken Levine's new game, which Ken Levine created the first BioShock. Judas is the name of this game. And it looks very BioShock.
Yes. That one does look really good.
Yeah. I'm like... I'm very divided where, like, it looks very BioShock, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Go ahead. There's games I want to talk about that you're talking about making me think of that I have similar feelings. But
so it's a disintegrated starship, a desperate escape plan is like what the press release says. You're the mysterious and troubled Judas. Your only hope for survival is to make or break alliances with your worst enemies. Will you work together to fix what you broke, or will you leave it to burn? And so it's basically, it looks like BioShock in space. I love BioShock and I love space. So. And so so Ken Levine went off and made his own development company. I can't think what it's called, and they don't list it here, oddly enough. But they made a really good game that I play a lot on the Switch, or I played a lot on the Switch when it first came out, called The Fire and the Flood.
Okay,
got to check that one out. Yeah, I should have actually. I think I might have mentioned it when we did our post-apocalyptic episode.
Okay.
But it's a good little like top-down sort of perspective, and you're on a raft in like a flooded out apocalypse and it's just like a young person and their dog, and you have to like dock periodically and go ashore and like get some supplies and stuff, and then get back on your raft and keep moving. It's really good. What was the next game you were thinking of?
Hellboy.
Yeah, that looked really good.
That looked really fucking good. I like that
cel-shaded, like, comic booky.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's not as style. Like he's a little more thinner.
Yeah,
rather than him being so
he's lean. Yeah,
which I'm for. I like that version of Hellboy, but the art style to it was very much like the comic book, and I'm very excited for that. Yeah. I saw that.
I want to see more of that. Yeah, because it was a pretty minimal trailer.
Yeah, it was just of that beast, and then you push them back, and you see it.
Looks like you're getting ready to fight.
And
I
reckon I can play on that.
I reckon. One that really surprised me, that made me go, seeing the reaction to it made me go, man, I gotta get in on this, was Death Stranding 2.
Yeah, apparently everyone was like
finally,
cheering.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was like,
I heard mixed things about Death Stranding 1, where I think of like Bo Burnham's joking inside, where he's like, when he's doing the streamer bit, and he's like, it kind of reminds me of Death Stranding, where it's boring, but that's the point.
It's boring,
but like that's the point. And I'm like, is that a legit description? People were shitting their pants over this.
Yeah, Norman Reedus looked super old in this one.
And I know that like the premise was something about like the rain aging you.
Yeah, because I remember Morgan, because she played it for a little bit, and I was watching.
I was teasing her. She played it for an hour because she likes Norman Reedus. And like, this isn't for me, and stopped.
But I remember the one scene in the very beginning where the raindrop hits his hand,
and you see the wrinkles,
and you see
the age spot.
So I figured, and it looked like on his shoulders where his shirt line is.
Yeah,
it starts to look young again. So I'm curious if
what happened in the first game.
He just got wet or something.
Yeah, he forgot to dry off. He just got old.
Hate when that happens.
Yeah, that was the best of us. So
how does that work though? Like, does your top body still like age?
That beats me, dude. I don't know. I didn't play it, but I kind of want to now. And I'm like, well, I own it, I think. I mean, Morgan played it, but I don't know if we had the disc or we just bought it digitally. You know what I mean? I don't remember. But it does make me want to check it out.
Yeah.
Apparently, that was a neat little like comment that Hideo Kojima made after they showed the trailer, was that apparently whatever the premise was of Stranding 2 or Death Stranding 2, he rewrote it after the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, because he said he didn't want to predict anything.
Didn't want to predict any more future. Yeah, and so I'm like, oh, well.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I wonder what it was about. That it must have had something to do with disease or something. Where he was like, oh well,
that poor taste.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So Idris Elba joins Cyberpunk 2077 in the Phantom Liberty trailer,
which looked pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
I do think that's one that I will eventually work my way back to, because I got burned so bad on it. I had such high hopes for it, but it does sound like they're working their way back to, good graces, I guess, with it. And so maybe it'll get the No Man's Sky treatment.
And No Man's Sky really can't. We haven't played that game in a minute.
No,
we'll have to
we always talk about that's another one with a hard barrier to entry.
Yeah,
of like you see people who are like they've got a fleet, and you're like, how? I just want a better ship. Like I've got $2 million. I know that you and I have quite a bit of money now. It's still nothing compared to. No, it's you're welcome to the guy on the fucking what is that thing called? The Anomaly, who was just giving shit away. Do you remember? And then it was like really valuable shit that we went and sold.
Yeah, and I sold it for like 13 million credits. And I was like, yeah, I gotta give you some of this.
You're like, come here.
Yeah, dropped you like 6 milli.
I got what you're hurting for. Thank you. Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Yes. Cameron.
Nope.
No. Cameron's his last name.
No, Cameron Monaghan.
Okay, no, I was right.
Yeah, I was trying to think of for some reason Cameron didn't sound right.
Felt very scripted when he went out. Like I know they have a teleprompt, but like I was like watching this, I was like, come on, man, you're an actor.
He doesn't mean he's a stage actor.
Like, act a little.
You know what I mean?
That's very true.
And you don't know how. I don't know how prepared he was as far as like when did they get him? You know what I mean? It might have been like, hey, tomorrow you got to be in L.A.
Al Pacino,
dude, he didn't know where the fuck he was.
He literally read the one award, and then I swear to God, I thought they just pulled him off. They're like, this was a mistake. We got to pull Al Pacino out.
Yeah, pull the Pacino. Makes me
pull the Pacino. Who's up pulling the Pacino RN? Who up Walton the Jr.?
Makes me think of Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas when he yanks the yodeler back with the cane. It's like that. They just hook him and yank him.
Because he even said, he was like, I can't see the teleprompter right now. Well. And then so they're like, just
get him out of there. I do love that. Like, I think one of the first comments he makes is like, wow, look at the crowd. Where like, he didn't know that gaming was a thing. No. You know, and he even says
like, I don't play video games. And he says that he watches his kids play, but I doubt that very much.
His kids have got to be 60.
They're old, man. Like,
his kids don't know what fucking games are.
Oh man, they're not.
Nah, that's not fair. My dad's almost 60 and he's into it. You know,
it's true.
Oh, but either way,
your dad and Al Pacino are two very different people.
Pacino was there for a paycheck. Well, Pacino's also got like 22 years on my dad. He's 83.
That's very true.
So he's got 25 years on my dad. But yeah. The gameplay. Think about that.
Yes.
We got distracted. Yeah, they showed us gameplay and did confirm the March 17th release date.
Yes.
Gameplay looks gas.
Dude.
You didn't like it?
No, I did. But I'm saying, like, the day before, Sons of the Forest.
Jedi Survivor?
Yeah, like, I'm booked.
I'm plumb full.
Yeah.
I know it almost makes me want to move my vacation now to, like, all right, I'll move it to, like, the end of March. That way I can just play all of them. You know what I mean?
I think I have, like, 2 weeks saved up.
Just burn them all.
And I'm
going to text the group chat right now. Can I move that vacation still? Who took the last week of March?
Who took the last 2 weeks?
I will pay you a lot of money.
I'm just going to be gone for half a month.
I am not above selling my body for vacation time. No, I do think, talking about the gameplay, like, he's kind of savage at times. Like, when he fucking picks up the gunner and makes him just fire at his team and then slashes him through the back, it's like he made him watch him kill his own friends and then cuts him down.
Yeah.
A lot of mobility, it looked like.
Yes.
You know, they kind of upped some of the traversal.
Mm-hmm.
He gets a broadsword style, you know, with the crossguard, like Kylo Ren's.
Like the saber itself is
huge. And I'd seen somebody mention that they wonder if you'll be able to change fighting styles similar to Ghost of Tsushima. Because, I mean, there are different fighting styles in the Star Wars universe. And I thought that'd be kind of a neat idea of, like, what if you can just customize your saber, you know, on the fly? Or if you, I mean, hell, you can just put them on your fucking belt. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're relatively small when they're not in use. But yeah, I thought looks really good. We get some new characters.
Fine addition to my collection. Cal just turns into Grievous.
Yeah, he's just got
confirmed
sabers on sabers. No, I mean, what do you say? It's Star Wars, baby,
right?
Like, and I mean, Cameron Monaghan even was like, I've played this game,
and he said he thinks it's the best one.
I mean, you know, obviously he's got to say that, right?
Sure,
but he could have said one of the best. You know what I mean? But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
But yeah, he even came out and said, like, I think it's the best one, and that's saying a lot. Like, there's been good Star Wars games.
And something I like about Cameron Monaghan from, like, interviews I've seen is, like, he's knowledgeable. He's talking about characters that are, like, not, you know, like...
He studies his stuff.
Yeah, he's talking about, like, you know, Cal Katarn, you know, or Kyle Katarn. And so he's talking, like, about characters that, you know, Morgan wouldn't know what the fuck they're talking about. You know what I mean? The common, you know... People know Star Wars. If I say Han Solo, most people are going to know who that is. But as soon as you start talking about side characters or characters that are only common in books or a video game that came out 25 years ago, they're, you know, they glass over, right? And he knows about these guys, and so that's promising. That like
it shows passion in it.
Like a Sam Witwer, who, you know, he's really passionate about it, about Star Wars, and so I do like seeing like a legitimate nerd about this stuff playing. Again, it's the passion. Another one that I know nothing about that I was like, oh, fuck, what is it? Diablo 4. You didn't like that trailer?
I played Diablo 3. Wasn't impressed. I'm not a fan of that art, or like that games, like that top-down view. I'm not crazy about it.
No.
That's just me. I don't know. I'm weird. I've played Divinity 2, if anyone knows what that game is. Yeah. A very fun game. Very much like D&D, right? But in a video game, which I love. Could not get behind the camera view. I don't know, man.
That's very shallow of you.
It could be. Yeah. It's a personal preference, I think.
Yeah.
I like the first person. I'll even go the third person, but I'm just not a fan of that top down.
Yeah.
Teach their own.
Yeah. Well,
I know I'm in them.
You guys will just fucking skip that trailer then.
Yeah, why don't we? No. Tell me what you thought about it.
And we'll skip over Street Fighter 6 too, since I don't play fighter games. It's
Let's just fucking end it.
Yeah, let's just fucking call it here. We've been recording for an hour. It's a short one. Fuck it. We're not even doing. I hope you didn't work too hard on Cryptid because I don't care about it anymore. So we're just gonna. You're like, oh. All right. I go, what's your Cryptid this week? And you tell me, I go, yeah, I never heard of it. Let's quit. Yeah, I'm not really into this. Let's just quit.
What?
Wait, what? Just get defensive over a game that I admitted I don't know much about Diablo, but I thought the trailer was neat. And you're like, well, I don't like top down. I was like, well, then I guess we'll just fucking quit making a podcast together. The show's over. Sorry, guys. Made it 41 weeks. Not even posting this one. Fuck it. We're just not going to post one this week because you don't like top down games.
Oh, because I just stated my opinion.
Yeah.
I wasn't dogging on it. I just said it's not for me.
It's not for me. Like, well, then like, fuck me, I guess. No, legitimately, I thought, now it does run into the same thing of like, a lot of Assassin's Creed games, or I think of like a lot of these top-down like RPG style games where it's like that was really intense cinematic trailer, very like Lord of the Rings, or I mean, and then it's like that's not necessarily representative, right, of the final product, depending on how that gameplay goes. But I mean, it was a very cinematic trailer, and I was sold on the story aspect of it. Mm-hmm. It made me go, maybe I should check out Diablo. You know what I mean? I know that my dad played Diablo 2 because I remember seeing the box on the shelf, but I mean it's one that passed over me. I wasn't old enough to have an interest in Diablo 2, and then when Diablo 3 came out, I was young enough that I was like, I don't know, man. It doesn't, and then I just passed over it. One of my friends that I played video games with did play quite a bit of Diablo 3, and I know that he enjoyed it. But whatever, right? Fuck him.
Whoa.
Fuck top-down games. Who cares?
Yeah.
Street Fighter 6 got a release date, June 2nd, 2023. I'm not super into fighting games. I
like Street Fighter, but
I like a periodic. Like, I mean, I'll pick it up and play it, but I'm not like, shit,
Yeah, they showed these new characters, and I was like, I like the old ones, neat. Yeah, cool.
Art style, I do think it's kind of weird how they've leaned into like a almost comic booky.
Yeah, a little bit. I would say like, and something that I kind of want to be like, I don't want to be neckbeardy, but they were talking about like, Street Fighter's been around for 35 years, which is a long time.
Yeah.
You can do a little better on the graphics. I mean, it's the same.
But again,
it's the same fucking thing.
Yeah, but I mean, and then you look at like a Mortal Kombat where you're like, some of the graphics up close on that are like really good. Mm-hmm. I honestly, when he started talking, I was like, "Oh, is this a Mortal Kombat game?" And then it wasn't. I was like, Street Fighter. Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League.
Yeah,
we got to see Batman just for a second, or actually, I don't even know if we. Yeah, we did. We just got a glimpse of him, and it is Kevin Conroy's last performance as Batman. They made that official, and I was like,
I got a hard feeling they're gonna put a big thing either in the beginning or the end. Yeah. And I'm not ready for that.
No. Now, an odd thing is like, I don't know. Did you play any of the Arkham games?
Yeah, I played Arkham Knight.
Did you beat it?
No.
Okay, so spoiler alert: Batman dies in that.
Oh, word.
Yeah, which is weird because this is in the Arkham universe. Justice League kill the Spider-Man. Suicide Squad kill the Justice League. Is in the Arkham universe. So Batman must have been like, psych, faked his death. Not unheard of, gotcha, bitches. And he just comes back to kill people, which does make me wonder, because as I think I told you, the premise seems to be that Brainiac has come to Earth and has basically taken over the Justice League's mind and is using them to basically conquer the world, which not a bad plan. Take the world's strongest heroes and then turn them against the world.
Yep.
Which is a perfect job for the Suicide Squad because they are expendable.
Yes.
And so I do like the idea of being like, all right, how do you take this guy down? Okay, how do you take that guy down, right? And that how you fight the Flash will be different from how you fight the Batman, But it is going to be kind of tough to see the Batman as Kevin Conroy as a bad guy as his last rendition. We're like, he's got to play the hero, And so maybe they'll bring the heroes back. I mean, I would think that the end goal isn't to kill the Justice League,
but to somehow
save them. Yeah, but that the name's kind of saucy. Kill the Justice League. But we haven't seen a lot of gameplay from this game at all. No. Mostly cinematics.
It's just that one cinematic trailer.
We got a clip from the Super Mario Brothers movie.
I
really like the art style.
Yeah,
it's the video game.
The art style's perfect.
Yeah, the animation's on point. I don't hate Keegan-Michael Key as Toad.
I don't hate Charlie Day as Luigi. I mean, I think it's just Chris Pratt.
Unfortunately, the lead.
Yeah, and Jack Black. I think Jack Black playing Bowser makes great sense.
And I do.
And again, it's like we didn't hear enough.
They're really putting his voice
on
out there, which makes me go, it's not good.
It's not good.
The little bit that I have heard isn't enough to make a full judgment, but doesn't sell me at all. And the fact that they're not going, here's his voice, makes me think that I'm right.
I also think Keegan, when he came out and started talking about...
yeah, I mean, he was there to do a sales pitch. You know what I mean?
A little bit.
And it is a kid's movie at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And so I do think there's that weird intersection of like, I like Mario. I'm not a kid, but kids also like Mario, and it's going to be a kid's movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so there's that weird intersection of like, adults can like it too, but you got to sell it to the kids. And so you got to show that adults are watching, and then you're trying to sell to kids. And so it doesn't always hit.
But
all in all, that was something I wanted to ask you about. All in all, about the awards show, I thought it was a pretty low level of cringe.
Oh yeah,
which
I thought it was very low.
In the past, the Game Awards have been very cringy.
There was a couple things. Sydney Goodman, who I huge crush on her. I think she's I think she's cool. She's very knowledgeable about her stuff, and I follow her on a bunch of her socials and stuff.
I didn't know who she was.
Really, she does a whole bunch of stuff for IGN. Or she used to, at least. Yeah. She used to be like the spokesperson for them. But I just haven't seen her too much.
I knew that she had to be somebody. You know what I mean? But I was like, Morgan was like, who is this? And I was like, I don't know, baby. This one's missing me.
But she threw in a couple jokes that didn't stick.
Didn't land.
Ultimately, none of them were. I was like,
yeah. I mean, you're hosting a show.
Yeah.
I didn't think she did a bad job of hosting the pre-show.
Animal from the Muppets. Yeah. I loved that. I thought that was funny, and that was a nice little like comedic relief to have in there.
Let's see here. Tekken 8, another game, fighting game. Don't know anything about them. I don't want to be that way, but moving on, right? Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores DLC, I thought looked pretty cool. Seeing like the Hollywood sign getting destroyed, and that Ayla was going all the way to the West Coast. It made me want to go, I gotta finish the first one first, but I'm like, man, it got nominated for Game of the Year. I want to check it out.
I've been hearing it's been quiet. That's all I know.
Yeah, well, it also came out at the beginning of the year.
That's very true.
And unfortunately, it came out in a year with Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok.
As well as it also came out when like nobody could get their hands on the PS5.
Yeah,
and so like the people who could play it, there wasn't really much to talk about because no one else could really relate.
And so that DLC, like I said, they didn't show a lot other than just some like environmental footage of like her flying over, the ocean, and like some, like I said, there's the nice shot of the Hollywood sign just getting obliterated by a giant robot dinosaur. Crash Team Rumble.
Oh,
I love Crash Bandicoot.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I wanted to talk about that. I love the fact that they had someone dress up as Crash Bandicoot and then zip line down.
Yeah,
I thought that was such like a retro, so fitting.
The PS3 era, PS2 era and on, into some PS3 stuff. Crash Bandicoot was like the mascot for Sony. And so seeing, like, I remember PlayStation 3 ads, or maybe it was PlayStation 2 ads, I don't remember, of a guy dressed up as Crash Bandicoot, outside the Microsoft office.
I remember reading Game Informer magazines, and Crash Bandicoot would always be there with Sony. So I was like, in Uncharted, the video games,
because it's from Naughty Dog.
Yeah. But I really did like that, and I thought it was funny, and I'd like to give that a
shot. As soon as I was like, oh, that's Crash Bandicoot, I looked at Morgan and she's like, all right, easy guy. But no, I mean, I'm all right with this Crash Team Rumble as a 4x4. I kind of hoped that it was going to be like
I wanted it to be more Crash Bandicoot.
I wanted it to be Crash. I can't think of what it was called way back when, but basically Crash Racers.
Yeah, like that was basically the tits.
Crash Band. Sony's answer to Mario Kart. But still, I mean, I'll definitely check it out when it comes out. Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2. I like that they're fighting the Gene Stealers, dude.
Yeah.
So my dad and I played Space Marines or Space Hulk, which is a tabletop game where like your Space Marines going into like a ship or a facility or whatever it is, and the Gene Stealers, which look very much like xenomorphs, are like inside it, and you basically it's very alien or aliens.
Sure.
Where like the Gene Stealers show up first as like little blips on the radar, and you like roll for initiative. Basically, you like roll the dice and then you flip the blip, and it might have a 5 on the back. That's how many Gene Stealers are down this hallway now. And you're like, oh man, you're going through, and you're fighting as the Space Marines. And I loved that game as a kid. And so seeing the Gene Stealers, I was like, oh shit. More. That was another one where I was like, all right, And I tried to tell her about it, and she's doing her best to not glass over, She's doing her best to be supportive, But she's like, oh, that's neat, I'm like, yes, it is neat, isn't it? She's like, yeah. Let's see here. Scrolling through a little bit. Yeah, there's the Hellboy game. Another sad one. Michael Madsen coming out to promote Crime Boss Rockay City.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, he is not great either.
And so he came out with the 2 bodyguards. And he was talking about being the mafia and stuff like that, or being the crime boss.
Yeah.
He's getting old.
That's a weird game of like, they've got Michael Madsen, Chuck Norris, fucking Danny Glover.
Yeah. And then
Kim Basinger, Danny Trejo, Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, they got a lot of just
of like
I feel
odd
like
celebrities.
They just said like, how many big names can we get in this?
Right. But cheap big names.
Right.
Michael Madsen hasn't been in anything in about 15 years. Let's get him in this. Danny Glover, he's getting too old for this shit. Let's get him. Vanilla Ice, he had a song. Let's get him. Baby. Boom, 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 boom.
That could have been very well plagiarized.
Yeah, well, no, that's why there's the little at the end.
Yeah.
That's it. That was his defense in court. Was literally like bum 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 bum, and that was the saving grace, right? Let's see here. So yeah, that game they didn't show any. Michael Rooker was in that as well.
Yes.
It looks like it's going to be an FPS where you're going to be the leader of a criminal underworld in a fictional version of like 90s Florida. Let's see. He's kind of trying to scroll through here. Last of Us Part 1's getting a PC release in March. Returnal's going to PC. Let's see here. Yeah, so here's where they mention it. Genshin Impact wins Player's Voice at the 2022 Game Awards following an intense battle against Elden Ring, Sonic Frontiers, God of War Ragnarok, and Stray. Yeah. I didn't know that game.
I didn't know it existed.
Baldur's Gate 3 getting a window release. Or sorry, a release window. That it's, so Baldur's Gate is it's a top down. It's a D&D game. Baldur's Gate literally from Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. Forspoken, that was kind of neat. It got a demo release during the Game Awards.
Yeah.
And I want to check that out.
Yeah, I was going to mention that cuz you can go in and try out. You can sign up for the beta. Yeah. And I was like, we did the Outlast trials, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think we should do this too. I think that'd be a lot of fun. There was another game. It'll come to me. It might be. I might be thinking of the same game, but
Forspoken is a Square Enix RPG action game, third person. So I don't know that it doesn't have a beta. It's got a demo.
There's a one where you could have signed up for a beta.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was in like the last quarter of. No, it might have been early on.
Was it the? Oh, there was one. I don't know if it's got the beta or not, but just looking through here, there was a Magic themed first person shooter game that looked pretty interesting.
I think that's it.
Coming from a group of devs that have worked on Dead Space, Halo, and BioShock.
I think that's it.
And I was like, all right,
You know what really had me in the beginning, but then as soon as like it hit a certain point, it lost me real hard. It was the Destiny 2. Like it looked so good, and then it showed just like as soon as it hit the clip where they're in space.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then they're in vehicles, and then like they're doing other things. I'm like, that's so much.
Yeah.
Like, if they just had it...
Destiny is a big game.
It's an MMO.
Yeah.
But I was just like... And
they're in, like, what, season 14, I think,
yeah,
where it's getting into Warhammer or World of Warcraft territory of, like, there's too much.
Yeah, it's just like that.
My old boss, who's still, I'm still talking with, he's way into Destiny. And Morgan's always like, you should buy Destiny, reach out to him, and then just see if he can carry you through. Like, let him, fuck it. Yeah, let me get you. And he'll be like, here's what you want to do. You want to focus this? He's got the playbook memorized. A game that really jumped out at me that even Morgan went, ooh, that looks right up your alley, was a game called Replaced that they showed pretty early on.
Okay.
And it was one of the side scrollers with, like, robots, and it kind of had stray vibes at times.
Was it like Pixel, but like with 3D in the background?
Yeah.
That looked really nice.
One of the shots that really like, oh, whoa, because I love the idea of a side scroller. Limbo, and there's a game called Inside.
Yeah,
that is the same way, where it's like almost, I think they call it like 2.5D.
It's almost 3D, but it gives it depth.
Scrolling.
Yeah,
there was a really cool shot in the trailer for this Replaced where, like, the camera goes through a decrepit house and is looking out onto the street, and you can see the character running on the street. And I was like, I like interesting.
And it's almost got like that advanced 8-bit.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. Where, I mean, it's definitely 64-bit or 128-bit.
Sure,
but
it's smooth.
Yeah,
it's smooth.
But they they put that art style on it. Let's see here. Valiant Hearts is going to be going to mobile, which that was a game from quite a few years back. That's a World War I like story focused game that was really good, and I like the idea of it going to mobile where more people can experience it.
Sure,
I have a cousin who's really like marches to his own beat, but he actually listens to this. Shout out James, who he plays Stardew Valley on his phone.
I didn't know you could play Stardew Valley on the phone. What?
And like he was able to connect through that. We're like, I'm sure he used to play games back when, but he just by his lifestyle he has doesn't really sit down and play like you or I would just lose a day to a video game.
I could lose a year.
But he's got Stardew on his phone. And he was talking to me about it, like, oh yeah, man, you got to do this, this, and this. And like we were able to really relate or connect over that. And so he's the type of person where that's a game that I think more people should see, and now he potentially would be able to see that. Got some small updates to games. We got an in-engine trailer for that Dune Awakening, that survival MMO.
That looks really good. I'm excited for that.
A new game mode coming to Among Us, hide and seek, which looked kind of interesting.
Looks really good.
Horizon Call of the Mountains. That's the VR Horizon Zero Dawn game.
I saw that. That caught my eye. That caught my eye.
I still don't know. I mean, PSVR 2, it's like you're buying another console, basically, for a console that people are having a hard time getting a hold of. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's some trailers that I skipped over or missed, but there was quite a bit shown.
There was a lot, yeah.
Yeah, that's because we had kind of talked about last week. We were like, depending on how much comes out, we might do two. That is part of the. We gotta
do a full episode. Yeah. There's just so much. Which isn't bad.
No. Some stuff that I wanted to see that I didn't was I was hoping to see something from EA about the next Mass Effect. Because it's been a couple years since they announced that like we are doing something moving forward with Mass Effect, and I was hoping that they'd, even if it was just a cinematic trailer, to at least give me a concept of what's moving forward. Especially with over the summer them giving us like a little bit of something on Twitter, you know what I mean, for N7 Day.
Yeah.
Where I was like, there's a little bit of drip feeding, and then to not get anything, I was like, oh man, I really thought they might. Yeah. But all in all, I mean, I do like when I see something that I don't know what it is, but it makes me intrigued about it. Like that Armored Core, Diablo. Nightingale.
Like that's sealed in my brain.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, was there anything that you were like, oh, I wonder if we'll see that, and then didn't get anything?
I thought we might have seen something for GTA 6. Since so much was leaked, they might come out and be like, okay, yeah, GTA 6 is being made.
Yeah.
Rather, unfortunate that happened, but here's a snippet of
or even if they're not ready to show like gameplay, they could at least tell you like a concept trailer.
Yeah, like something's coming out.
Yeah. But that's not really their style.
No.
Rockstar. They pretty much like to show you a trailer when the game's pretty
much out,
pretty far along.
Yeah. And then
I mean, you figure I remember the first trailer for GTA 5 was like in-game footage And same with Red Dead. I remember seeing like in-game footage as a pretty early trailer.
I'm trying to think of any other games that I was hoping to see. I saw Scorn on there, and I know I mentioned it maybe a couple episodes about Scorn, like just this game that's come out of the
for art design.
Yeah, just come out of the blue, and it's super like nasty and like gross and weird, and I'm all about it. I want to get jiggy with it.
Pardon? Get jiggy with it. No.
Not a sponsor.
Don't slap me, Chris. I'm gonna say Chris Rock, Will Smith. Oh, we got to mention it. Weird interruption at the end.
Oh,
when Elden Ring won, and they all go up and accept. Yeah, I mean that's a big moment.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Going up to accept your award, and unfortunately there is that extra barrier of like being a Japanese developer where you've got to have an interpreter. So you got to like pay attention, and this guy's having his moment, right? And just some weird shitty kid steps out and says something to the effect of, "I'd like to change this." It's like they do their speech, they're getting ready to step off. Kid grabs a mic.
He goes, "Now it's my turn.
I'd like to change this nomination to my newly, what does he say, Reformed Orthodox Rabbi."
Correct.
Bill Clinton. And then basically is like, bye, and then like,
and then
you see like, I'm assuming security.
Yeah,
like,
they kind of like come out,
swoop in on him and grab him, but they do a good job of not making like a
scene.
Get that kid, I mean, it was like it was.
Everyone was kind of clapping, confused because they just kind of kept that music going.
Yeah, they kept the thing moving.
And so people were just
and Jeff Keighley didn't make a thing of it.
Nope.
He kind of was like, "All right," and closes out the show basically.
But apparently, you were telling me yesterday because I was asking.
Immediately, he tweeted basically like, the person who interrupted our Game of the Year moment has been arrested, and I was like, "Damn,
good,
yeah, fuck that kid."
Good. I hate people like that, man.
Yeah,
it's just like, why?
And unfortunately, he is going to get his minute in fame, where it's like,
I did see a really funny meme, where it was. They edited the kid out, but in Elden Ring, when someone joins your world, it says you're being invaded.
The red,
yeah,
an invader has entered your game or something to that effect. It's just him showing up. Like, oh no!
I could not stop giggling. I thought that was the funniest shit. They're so quick on it, man. Yeah, they're so quick with the memes.
Are intense.
God, that's a job that needs to make good money. Yeah. It's like to make quality memes.
Yeah. So. I mean, we did manage to talk quite a bit about the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts before we move on?
No, yeah. I mean, I thought it was a good one. I'm a little bummed that God of War didn't win, but again, I understand I am in the minority of, liking God of War.
A large minority.
Sure, with Elden Ring, but still really good game. They won a lot, so that was good to see.
Yeah, that's the last thing I wanted to mention was I thought it was funny how there was like the reverse of 2018. In 2018, it was them and Red Dead. It's another year where like neither game deserved to lose.
Yeah.
But every category that they were up against each other, Red Dead took. And then it got to Game of the Year, and it was like God of War. And I was like, what? and this year it was kind of the opposite, where they won most of I think 6 of the 10 awards they were up for.
Yeah.
And then didn't win Game of the Year. But Chris, you got a cryptid over there?
I think what you meant to say is, welcome back to Chris's Cryptid Corner. I'm your host, Chris. So this week, actually, I wanted to kind of dive into something like you know of, but like I don't know any like depth into it. I want to talk about mummies.
Oh, yeah, mummies doesn't really do it for me.
Well, that's the thing is like I don't know too much about them. Like okay, yeah,
I'll just move through.
What
you been thinking about?
What? But what? They're like dead people, right? But they're just filled with toilet paper.
Brendan Fraser was in it. Mummy, the Mummy.
Yes. You threw me off there for a second. Well, I know a couple people with the last name Fraser, and that's why I was like,
why are you
outing somebody's name?
Yeah. Just provide their social.
Their IP address is blank. But so in mythology, death rituals are an important part of the Maya religion, which is heavily impacted on the mummies. The Maya greatly respected death. They were taught to not only fear, but to grieve deeply for the dead. They also believed that certain deaths were more noble than others. The Maya were very ritualistic people who paid great respect to the destructive nature of their gods. They had many traditions to commemorate. Commemorate, but that's a typo in the website. The recently deceased and worshipped long departed ancestors. People who died by suicide, sacrifice, complications of childbirth and in battle were thought to be transported directly into heaven. Now here, it just goes on to talk about the tombs that they would be filled in would be filled with precious goods, including pottery, figurines, jade, marble, masks, mushroom figures, so on and etc.
Yeah, and I think of like the Egyptians the same way. It makes me think of like how there's always the like commentary about like spending your money willy-nilly. It's like, you can't take it with you, you know. They believed you could, you know.
Absolutely.
You're gonna need this when you get there, you know.
And so I was like looking into that because I was like, well, has there really, where has there been actual sightings of like mummies?
Mummy moving, yeah.
And there has, and it's not where you think it would be. Believe it or not. No, right here in the U.S. of A.
Okay.
So it says here that there is
not at the museum.
Bingo, like right on the spot. The Bandage Man of Cannon Beach, which is
Beach,
Oregon.
Mm-hmm. Of all places. Oregon, the Oregon mummy.
Mm-hmm. But like it's reading
it.
So
the Bandage Man of Cannon Beach.
Correct, and it's a little spooky reading into it. So buckle in.
Yeah, you got a soundbite? Those creep me out.
I fart mic just rip ass.
Ooh, I got chills.
I got you and me both. Straight up. The Bandage Man, let's see here. Yes, the Bandage Man appears on the short approach road connecting U.S. Highway 101 to Cannon Beach, between the town where Highway 26 intersects with 101. He is always reported to be covered in bloody bandages, as well as emitting a horrible stench. I mean, who hasn't been there? That stench is due to be caused by rotting flesh.
Naturally.
Occasionally, the spirit's limbs appear to just jut out at bizarre angles. He is rumored to be the ghost of a logger who died in a sawmill accident who was buried there for his passion of logging.
You know what this man loved? Wood. And they just bury him there.
Let's see here. And then I had a sighting pulled up here for. So yeah, back in the 1960s, they kept it strictly confidential of the names of the couple, and it kind of makes sense why. Because at first it's like maybe those like prankers, but going into it at the time, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So the first sighting was in 1960. There was an unnamed couple who I'm trying to find if they named it, but there was essentially this kind of cliff edge, and it's kind of like a makeout point, right? It's the 60s. Yeah, like that makes sense. But they looked up, and at the time, they were making out, and it goes into detail that they were making love, which makes sense. Like
it's
they
like
went
finger bang
unnamed.
ridge,
you know. But they said that they noticed that something felt like it hopped on the car that was out of rhythm of the car already rocking.
Yeah.
But they looked up, and what they saw appeared to be a man completely covered in blood-stained bandages, and he was latched onto the back of their truck, staring at them, slamming his fist against the window. Terrified, they drove off, the man still pounding on the back of the window of the pickup truck.
They hit him with the old brake check?
Hold on. However, when they stopped, he was nowhere to be seen. Since then, police have reported to see the Bandage Man when driving on that road. So when they slammed the brakes, maybe he was lying.
Yeeted him. Dude, I would shit my pants.
Yeah, just...
I mean, that's a very vulnerable moment, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And then it's very like 80s horror, you know what I mean? Like I think of like Camp Crystal Lake, a couple campers getting it on in a cabin, and then just a killer.
Wait till you hear the behavior of the Bandage Man.
All right. I want to apologize for the finger bang comment. That was a little crass.
It was in good taste. The Bandage Man appears to haunt one particular stretch of road, attempting to grab and latch onto any stationary or slow-moving vehicles, especially trucks and open-roofed cars such as convertibles. The Phantom will often attempt to attack the driver, sometimes breaking glass, windows, leaving them broken well after it's disappeared. It will remain on the vehicle, disappearing only right before the car reaches the town of Cannon Beach, so right off of that road.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm thinking
it's haunting that stretch of road for some reason.
The Bandage Man is said to sometimes kill and eat dogs and cats, and speculations have spread that the specter has killed several humans, and there has been plenty of reports of people missing who have last seen to have their car on that road. The fact is, the entity can interact with our living beings, and their vehicles are surely something of the note. So, I mean, that's where it gets a little...
Yeah.
Ooh, if people are just going missing.
Yeah. What's the expression you always use? Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's something, maybe it's not a haunting, but some serial killer who that's just his spot, which we kind of got to talking about, is like some of the greatest serial killers we'll never know.
Weird air quotes. Like, the ones that get caught are the bad ones, right? They're not as good at it.
Yep.
They got caught for reasons because they got sloppy, right? The most effective serial killers won't be found because they're good at it.
Yeah. And so, I mean, maybe this could be something like that, where it's just a killer that kind of got away with it.
Yeah.
Or it could be a phantom that's haunting.
Or some animal.
Yeah.
It sounds like it might be an Oceanside Road.
Could be, yeah.
I wonder if there's a level of, like, depending on the weather, are people prone to getting in accidents there?
Could be.
Think they see something, maybe hit an animal, get out of the car, they get lost.
That's the thing, is on certain ones it says just specifically the windows and the windshield of the car. So I mean, I think it'd be funky just to have a broken windshield, but not a scratch elsewhere.
Yeah.
So there's pieces that doesn't make sense to the puzzle that kind of leads to that speculation.
Right.
But I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a little different twist.
I gotta be honest, I'm proud of you. When you started with Mummy, I wasn't sure where this was headed.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really interesting.
It's tangential, he's the bandage man, right? But hey, I'll take it.
It's a slow burn. Yeah, it's a slow burn, but I really liked that one.
Bandage Man sounds like an indie horror game that would be made.
Let's do it. Let's make the Bandage Man. What about you? What you would think that was? Oh, piss.
It's midnight.
Yeah, I'm tired.
02. Yeah.
It's 1200.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's 002.
It's 02.
Let's see. No, so I think last week I told you I've been playing Drug Dealer Simulator.
Yeah.
I got to follow up. I kind of told you about it. So I was like, I'm getting into it. There's been the end game update and all that, Well, I hit a bug. I think I told you that. Where, like, there's a character that's supposed to order large numbers, like large quantity of, like, cocaine from you.
As you do.
Yeah, naturally. And, like, you're pushing bulk, if you know what I'm saying. And sorry.
That threw me off. Yeah. I had to pinch my nose and look away.
Yeah, no, but either way, you're pushing bulk and
pushing pee. You know what I'm saying?
No, I lost my own train of thought.
He said he's pushing bulk.
Yeah, so you're pushing a lot of bulk, and I gotta find a different phraseology. You're moving a lot of product.
Nah, mean.
And so he's ordering like daily or every other day a lot of product, and you're like, all right, yeah, I gotta do. Well, I just stopped getting orders, and it's like it felt like my game stopped progressing. And I'm like playing for like a few in-game days, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Yeah, so I like looked up. I'm like, why isn't this guy ordering from me anymore? And back in like 2020, there was a lot of like Reddit posts and Steam support posts about like a bug. I was like, oh no, shit, because you had to reach level 36 to reach like the end game stuff, and I was like, I was level 37, and I'm like,
yeah, you just got there.
Fuck. So I was like looking at, and then like the bug fix was like start over. I was like. All right, I'll do it. And so I did. I started over. I was grinding, and I was like, I got to that point of like doing those missions again. And I did my first job, and then he didn't order. I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Like, do not. So I'm like, all right. So I'm just gonna test it. I'll sit in front of the laptop, pass time for 24 hours, and then check my messages. Nothing from that guy. I'm like, shit. So I like verify that. I close, reopen, do it again. Nothing. Verify the game files. It reinstalled something. I was like, excellent. Maybe that was it. Nothing. Fuck. So I uninstall the game entirely, reinstall it. Same thing. I'm like, well, I'm just going to have to fucking quit. Yeah. And like, I was on the Steam page getting ready to uninstall it, and I saw like a news update from the developer, and I was like, all right, let me check this out. And I peek in there, and there's like a fucking meme basically making fun of me. It felt like it was like the guy that's supposed to be ordering stuff from me, and the meme was like, oh, did I forget to order something? I'm like, are these
trolling me,
making fun of me right now? And so I'm like, I saw like,
are you picking on me?
Is this a joke? So it's like, and there's like 182 comments, and I was like, I bet they're all mad. And like, I click on it, I was like, maybe it's a known bug. So obviously they know about it, right? So I click in there. No, part of the update was that they lowered the frequency of his orders to once a week in game. And I was like, you got to be fucking with me. I didn't have to restart. And I was like, I'm glad I saw it before I uninstalled.
Correct.
But I also got to take a couple days away because I was grinding to get caught back up.
Mm-hmm. Now you got to restart all over again.
I was like, no, I don't have to restart again.
Oh.
I'm pretty far in that second go.
Your second run?
Yeah, I'm at like level 27.
Oh, so you're almost there.
I'm getting
you're
in
almost
there.
there.
Yeah. But I was like, oh, man, you got to be kidding. I was so close to giving up entirely. So I'm glad I saw that. But then again, pretty bitter that it took that.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing is that I've been thinking about going back and playing Horizon Zero Dawn like I talked about.
Yeah.
And so maybe I'll do that. But I also do still want a 100% God of War, and I'm not close to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think it's worth at least giving it a solid attempt.
Yeah.
But what about you? What you been thinking about?
I mean, I've just been grinding on God of War. I'm trying to plow out as much. I mean, I'm trying to at least finish the story for next week. But a thought I did have that I kind of wanted to run by you is we always talk about video games and talk about us playing them. Yeah. What if we, and like as well as like if you guys like had any suggestions, you can definitely send an email, leave them at simpleoldmailbag@gmail.com. Yeah. We always talk about video games. What if just starting on the fly, we don't have to have a schedule for it, but on occasion we just stream on Twitch when we're playing.
Or even you can do like YouTube Live, and we've already got the YouTube channel that I don't know what to do with.
And that's the thing. I have everything for Twitch on my computer already because I did Twitch for like a hot second. Like 4 days and gained good amount of traction, I think, for 4 days. So, I mean, especially now that we have a platform where we're going to be talking about these games in our podcast so people can get a little more in depth, and it's going to be a little more personable because we're going to hit dead points in like games when we're playing like The Long Dark or, Apex and stuff like that, and it's just more personable. But I didn't think that was a bad idea.
No,
And I'd like to...
I'd be open to that.
I'd like to test it out, and I think it'd be cool to kind of have a little bit more of the reins on something like that because I have all the Twitch stuff, and obviously, I mean, it is just going to be like a click of a button, like, hey, are we playing? All right,
would we each stream while we're playing?
So I figured we could just stream it under one and just have that as simply one podcast,
right?
And then because we could do stream it under two because
my thing is like then it's only one of our perspectives.
One of our perspectives, yeah.
And like if you're not good at the game, then I am.
Could we do two? Well, that's Apex, a lot. That's a lot.
That's most games.
Most games. Could we do that under one account?
I have no clue.
I'll look into that. I'll look
into shop talk again.
I'll look into that. But that's really what I've been thinking about, and I'm not gonna lie, it's been sitting heavy. I think it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, and I would like to. So I don't want to like do a full plug on another podcast. But there's a person that I know who does a strictly video game podcast called Archived, and they do like I don't want to say retro games, but older games, and they play them again, and then basically kind of give their thoughts on like does it hold up, whatever. Well, I saw on their Facebook page they posted something about that they were actually streaming them playing whatever game it was they were going to talk about. Sure. And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea, you know. And that did, I kind of had the same thought cross my mind of like, we could do that. We talk enough about games that I could see us doing that.
Especially with how many games are coming out, like how I've been
stroking Sons of the Forest,
the day before. And then, and now Nightingale.
Yeah, that'd
be
cool.
We really want to get into. Yeah. I think it'd be a lot of fun, having, people being able to watch our first reaction with that, and being able to kind of see there, and then when we talk about it, because we do ramble a lot, we go back and forth. And
another possibility, again, talking shop, just on the podcast, Facebook does Facebook gaming, like streaming. I know
we could probably do all three of them.
Stone Mountain 64, he streams through Facebook.
Yeah,
so I don't know, man. A lot of options there. Definitely. I do want us to kind of like brainstorm a bit personally, like between the two of us, is like how we want to keep moving forward because we are coming up on a year, right? And then like, all right, what's the next year look like, right? And so maybe that's something that we try and start actualizing, like moving forward. But again, we want to thank you guys so much for listening and all your support.
Of course.
If you like this episode, be sure to leave us a great review on iTunes, 5 stars everywhere else. It's always a big help. Share us on social media. I always say it. You gotta like, favorite, subscribe, whatever the the phraseology is on your streaming platform of choice to make sure that you get notified when we post new episodes. I want to try something new this week. So Avatar: Way of Water comes out this Friday.
It does. I'm very excited.
Yeah. I'm excited to see it only because I know that we've already got a disagreement of expectation.
Yes.
And so I'm kind of excited to see how that pans out.
You're excited in the sense of you hope it flops.
Well, no, I would like to be. I don't want to go see a bad movie.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But I am excited to just see how it turns out. It'll be exciting regardless of how it turns out.
Sure.
You know, exciting in like a grim way where it's like, oh man, you know, seeing a giant tumble, you know, or like, shit, he did it again. You know what I mean? Yeah. Either way is
God.
Son of a bitch. Burton Macklin, you son of a bitch. No, so I do want to try something different here where if you guys get to see the movie, please send us reviews. Just a couple of sentences, doesn't have to be like a blog post, right? Because I do intend to read them out. So
if we don't get a bunch of emails that strictly just say gas or pass or over, under, or simply whelmed, I'm going to be thoroughly disappointed.
Yeah, right. Yeah, definitely give us your 2 sentences and then a gas or pass.
Yep.
Or you're overwhelmed, simply whelmed, underwhelmed. But yeah, just what you liked, disliked, you know, a couple sentences. I just want to try and get a little bit more back and forth. It does feel very much like we talk at you guys, but we don't hear enough from you.
Yeah.
And so I think that'd be an interesting way to do it. So, Chris, if people wanted to give us some feedback on Avatar or on the podcast, some suggestions, their thoughts on our ideas for streaming, things like that, how would they do that?
Of course, you can always, take a look at us on our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram at Simply Whelmed Podcast. You can use our Twitter handle, if you want to start adding us or using just like the hashtag Simply Whelmed Podcast. Yeah. Our Twitter handle is whelmed_simply. Or, of course, you can do the old traditional there, old faithful, if you will.
The old snail mail, Pony Express.
The Pony Express. But, the Simply Whelmed mailbag at gmail.com. We always live reading your guys' emails. Yeah. It's definitely a hoot.
Oh, man. It's been a ride. We're at 12:15 here. We're locking it down.
Yeah.
So, I can see it in your eyes.
Yep.
So, next week, we're going to be giving our thoughts on Avatar: Way of Water.
Yes.
We have divided expectations, like we said, going in. So, don't miss that episode. I'm excited to see where we land on it.
I think this is going to be one of our first earlier, one of our newer episode where we're both on polar opposites. Where I'm really excited and you're really not. Because everything, we have similar tastes.
We got pretty similar tastes, yeah. But no, I do think it's an exciting episode, and it's going to be our last big episode of the year, which is like the year's over.
Yeah.
So because our plan is for the following week, just with the Christmas holiday and everything that we'll be celebrating with family, we're going to do a mini episode. I say mini episode; it'll probably end up being potentially longer than a normal episode, but there won't be news or cryptid or anything like that. It'll just be strictly us talking about Andor and God of War Ragnarok. And we probably won't get into detail on Andor because I more passionately want to talk about God of War.
Right.
So I figure Andor will just be like, here's our thoughts on the series as a whole. And then, move on to... Because if nothing else, we could do a recap episode when Andor Season 2 starts to come out.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Kind of like we did with Barry. But, so that was good stuff. That's the end of the episode, Chris. Tell everybody bye.
Bye.